Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. I have another card for you today using the new Heartfelt Blooms stamp set, using this beautiful image here. Now this time I've used it as a background stamp, so you can see behind my panel here I've used it as a background stamp. Also you can use it and create your own designer series paper. That's what I like to do too. Like you could get like an A4 or a 12 by 12 piece, or just scraps of cardstock. Like you need to use a light color, like I've used Sahara Sand here, or you could use crumb cake or craft cardstock, something like that, and you just do all your stamping, fill in your little spaces. You might need to use a little stamp just to fill in, like I have here with the petite petal flower. You may just need to fill in a couple of spots there, and then as you need it you can just use a panel of it, or you can use a whole piece like I have here. So we'll get started. So also I will need to grab an acrylic block when we're doing the petite petals. So let's get started. So I'll give you some measurements. So for this one I'm going to use Night of Navy. So that is as my normal measurements, which is 11 inches long by 4 1/8 wide, and then scored at 5.5. Then for my piece of inside my card, it measures 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8, and I've gone ahead and just stamped the flower up in the left hand corner. So I'll just grab the glue and we'll just put that straight in. You could use snail, but I like to use the multi-purpose glue, because if I don't get it as straight as I would like it, gives me those few seconds to move it. So just just eyeballing it, just trying to get it as straight as possible. Those can just move it a fraction, and I'll just rub that so the glue takes place. Pop the glue over there. Just make sure it's stuck down. So then we've got the inside of the card corresponding with our nice Night of Navy. So we can set that aside. And then we're going to, I'm going to use my Misty tool. You can just use an acrylic block if you want. I like to use the Misty tool because I can re-stamp it if I need to. Those magnets off. Now because I'm going to be stamping all around all sides, and I'm not really worried if I have some blank bits in the middle, because my mat that I'm going to be putting across that is going to be covering it, so it's mainly the top and the bottom and the sides. So I'm just going to pop that on there. And I'm just going to place that because I need to get a good coverage. Bring my Night of Navy. I'm going to be stamping this, the original one I stamped in Rose Red. This one I'm going to stamp in Night of Navy. So as I've shown you in the previous, with this stamp, it's best just to press down, and I'm not really worried if I get a little bit on my Misty because it cleans off very easily. So if you wanted that to be darker, you could re-stamp it, but I'm quite happy how that's stamped. It's quite stamped all over. Now you just got to be careful, because when you put this back down, you can't pick it back up. So I'm going to put it, because if you pick it back up, you're not going to get it down in the same spot. So I'm just going to stamp that. Bring that down. I mean, my Night of Navy ink pad is nice and juicy as well, and that will help you as well. So that piece at the top there is dry already, so I'm just going to pop that there. Now I'm just going to put once you put it down, don't try picking it up to reposition it. So if you were doing a really big piece of cardstock, you could just keep it and just cut it as you need it. You might like to use a panel down one side of a card or something like that. Just remember that when you're doing this technique, you need to do it on a lighter colour of cardstock, like Whisper White or Crumb Cake, Sahara Sand, just a light piece like that. Now I'm not worried about the gaps at this stage, because I'm going to grab an acrylic block and my Petite Petals stamp. I might just move that over. Even pop that. It's just got looking for my chamois just to clean this off a bit, so it doesn't matter if it gets on the back of the panel I'm stamping on, but I don't want it to get onto the front. So I might just pop that up in the corner and just pop this on the edge . Just on that edge that we want it. just have a look, because that's going to be covered. So I don't worry too much about this piece in here, because that's going to be covered by the panel like that. Okay, so just wipe this off quickly. And pop that aside. Then I'm just going to quickly grab, my little acrylic block and one of the little flowers. This is my favourite flower for filling in holes. Now, it doesn't have to be that inked up. Just grab my grid paper. So I'm just going to stamp, just fill in a couple of these and it doesn't matter if our banner covers where we've stamped. So that should be just about right. So I'll just close that ink pad. So now the piece of cherry cobbler I've got is 5 1/4 inches by 2 inches, and then I've got a piece of Sahara sand to go on top of that, which is 5 inches by 1 7/8 of an inch. Now, before I came on camera, I did go ahead and stamp this best on there. Now that is from another one of the Saleabration's stamp sets. You get 2 CD cases and it's called Happy Wishes. So in my original one you saw that I used the Happy. That is in the other CD case that you get, and you get a lot of little sentiments in it, and it is a really beautiful set to have. So that's where I've got this. So we've used the Heartfelt Blooms and we've also used the Happy Wishes. So now I'm going to glue the Sahara sand piece onto this piece. So now we want to get it as equal as we can, or as straight as we can. And because I've used the multi-purpose liquid glue, it's letting me move it a little bit. So both ends look pretty good. They've got about the same width of the border on the ends as I'd like. A little bit of glue is seeping out, so I just don't want to press that too hard. And just using your cotton bud, just then we're going to just glue that wherever you want it on there. And I've just noticed, just annoying me, but just in that top corner it just missed a little bit of ink, so just quickly did that. Then I'm going to glue that, and I think it's just really a wow factor on this card with this stamp set, but it's just such an easy, fast card to make. And in that Happy Wishes there's like 16, well there's 14 sentiments, and then there's the two big ones, the happy and the best, what we're using now. Now we want this to go on straight. Hopefully my head's not in the way. Now you don't have to get, you can have it up here if you want, or we just want to cover I'm lucky that so I can just move it around a bit. Right, I have got inky fingers, but that's okay. Then, so we've got the best, and then we just want to get the card base and pop it onto the Night of Navy card base. So I might just grab the cotton bud just because there's a big lump there and I don't want it to ooze out as I'm sticking this down. So just try and put it on where you think it's most centered. And I just try and look at the top to try and keep that as straight as possible. I just think it really gives the card a wow factor using it as a background stamp. I started off just designing my own design series paper with it, but then when I made this card I thought, wow, that's just such an awesome background stamp. And these are on my blog, so I leave my blog address at the bottom and you can see there. Now we'll just pop that back upside down so it doesn't clog up. Now what I did was I stamped some of these flowers, and in Night of Navy on Sahara Sand, and then using the matching Petite Petals punch, I punched those out. And I also, on a piece of cherry cobbler, I just stamped wishes, which is one of the sentiments, so it's best wishes, and then I cut it out with the layering oval framelits. So I'm just going to put, this is a smaller one to when I did the original card. So we only need a couple of dimensionals on the back. So I'm going great guns today. This is my third video, so hoping to catch up. So I've got a few for you during this month of February. So it's just best wishes. So that's how I like to do them. Now when I just like to grab my bone folder and just give these a bit of a twirl up, and then we're just going to, I think I'll only use 2 of them, and I'll just put one dimensional on the back, and we'll put a candy dot in the middle. So we'll put one dimensional on the back of that one dimensional on the back of that one. So I am trying to keep my videos down for you in time. So there's that one there, and that one there. You could even do, if you really wanted to, you could even do another one there if you wanted to. I'm not sure. How that one will look. Yeah, that looks alright. I just didn't twirl the corners, but that's okay. I'm just going to use my finger and just like that. So we've just got one left, and then we're just going to use the candy dots or the candy shapes, whatever you like to call them. So one on there. And you can use the jewels, pearls or rhinestones. This one's a little bit bigger because I've only had 2 of the Doesn't want to stick, that one. Press that down. Get all that out of the way. So we've actually used 3 stamp sets to make this card. We used the new one, the Heartfelt Blooms, and then we used the other new one, Happy Wishes, for our sentiment, and we used one of the flowers in the petite petals with the matching petite petals punch. So that's, we'll just so the first one I did was in rose gold, not rose gold, now I've forgotten. That one is in Night of Navy, and this one is in rose red. Yes, rose red with the Marina Mist, and Night of Navy with the Night of Navy base, and then the Sahara sand on this one, and this one is crumb cake. So you can see the difference in there. Crumb cake's a lot darker. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I really love using it as a background stamp. So I hope you find it good, and I hope that you'll give it a try. And thank you for subscribing to my channel, and thank you for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.